Well, let's get started. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a great sales meeting planned for you, and this is our broker potpourri. Did I come through clear on that,
I
Todd?
just killed myself.
Did you hear my potpourri?
Yeah, you're at about 80. You're at about 80%, Chris. Way better than it
80%. That's better than I usually am. So we're going to start the meeting off with Shelly. Shelly, tell us a little bit about the mortgage market and what's going on in your world.
All right, thanks, Chris. So I wanted to talk about interest rates. I know interest rates are low. You're like, enough about interest rates, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what I think all of our customers and consumers are hearing right now, that interest rates are low. But I think in a different way of spinning that, I want to share two stories, which for this specific realtor of mine, she's earning 2 commissions. She actually closed on, she earned 2 commissions. So that's even more exciting, not more exciting than low interest rates, but basically a year ago, we closed on a transaction with a VA borrower. Her interest rate at the time was 4.5%. She purchased at $350,000. Now her credit was a little bit high, so the rate at 4.5% a year ago gave her basically a payment of like $2,000. So as she's reaching back out to that customer today just to check in, she had figured out that they have kind of busted out of the seams. They had a little baby in that 1 year, because that can happen in 9 months, I guess. And so they looked at perhaps buying a new home, which we have successfully closed on a new home. She actually purchased a home at $420,000 at a rate of 3% because her credit score actually improved, and her payment is still the same. So she not only is going to be saving a lot more in interest, her mortgage payment is the same. They added an additional bedroom. I think we may have also saved their marriage, but I wanted to be able to share that with you, because it's not just about saying these are low interest rates today. Share the story about why these low interest rates are helping our customers today. That particular case, that realtor again had the sale transaction as well as the buy transaction as she went and sold our client a home. And thinking about it also from a buyer perspective, if you go back in mind your database, even pre-COVID, we were 4.25%. Prior to that, the few months before that, we were 4.5% to 5%. Think about the savings, or think about the buying power that our clients can have today. I mean, over 30 to, in this particular case for a buyer, was $70,000 improvement in a purchasing sales price. And so also that equates, I think, to commission as well, right? Because you guys are based on commission. Anyways, just wanted to share that we do have some great flyers, great tools to showcase the buyer purchasing power, or also for your sellers to realize what they can actually be doing if they upgrade their homes, as well as take advantage of these low interest rates. But just wanted to share that all with you. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to one of our Prosperity Lending loan officers. And back to you, Chris.
Well, Shelly, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What about just plain old refis? How low are they going?
We are actually locking rates for even purchases 2.75.
Wow.
You want to refinance, Janet? I'll give you a good deal.
I might at that rate.
Yeah, get in line.
It's almost better than like car loans right now.
I know
Right?
the flyer that I'm going to build for this, the headline's going to say, "Low interest rates saves marriages." That's what.
Yes. Yes.
Is that because they had an extra bedroom? Is that what it was?
I don't know. Some people just can't throw down the cash to renovate their whole house, so they had to upgrade it.
I know. Neither can I.
Everyone gets the broker potpourri because we get everyone's comments at once. That's what makes it fun. Thank you, Shelly. Really appreciate your time and the update. And you're absolutely right. Purchasing power is what it's all about. So with prices raising, median price went up to $325,000, and so now being able to buy at a lower interest rate means you have more buying power. Some good stuff for sure.
Hey, Chris,
So,
can I ask a question while you're on that really quickly?
Sure.
You said, sorry, I know this is sort of off the cusp and not at all what we planned, but you said median price is $325,000, whereas some of us look at average sales price, right? Why? What's the difference, and why did you say median versus average? And
so, Jill, they are whenever they put out the stats, whenever we go and promote to, let's say, the RJ or Channel 8 or any of the other groups. All of their numbers are always pitched to the median price. It's just the standard of what we go through. But when you go to the average, you got to remember GLVR is one of the largest size boards that covers such a massive area. So if you take an effect that we have Lincoln County, Nye County, Clark County, some parts of Washoe County, and some parts of Esmeralda. I can remember most of my counties, Elko County as well. You take in the average, and you're bringing, land parcels that are 10,000 per acre versus everything else. And so when you go by the median, it's a better statement of our entire board area. And so that's how it was explained to me. And so that's why when you see it in the newspaper and you see your toolbar on MLS usually has the average, and we always promote to the public the median.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Feel better?
I feel a lot better. You keep freezing up though, by the way, just so you know.
Good. I can't help it. It's my internet's going as fast as its little legs can carry it. So hopefully I can carry the topics that I'm going to put out there. But Todd brought up a great point when we were talking the other day, and brought up the topic of the pandemic and the possibility of a shutdown. And so I've been getting the question. As you know, right now we have a special session going on in Carson City. Even during the special session, many legislators have had to virtually attend. And so we're in a completely different from every aspect of our state government. But everyone's asked me, do you think Sisolak will shut down the government? I have no idea. With you, I have no idea if he will or will not. But what we have seen is a trend. Whatever happens in Washington, Oregon, and California seems to find its way here to Nevada. And so as everyone knows, California went back into their initial phase and shut down the majority of their businesses. I heard an analogy that made a lot of sense to me last week, that having one state shut down next to a state that isn't shut down really does nothing for anybody, because people are crossing those borders back and forth. And so I think that what we're seeing is that as hotspots pitch up different areas, the states are reacting. And I think everyone would agree that there's been nothing proactive about this pandemic in the way that it's been handled in any state. But here are a couple of things about in our state. Number one, what phase are we in? Phase 2.
1, 3.
We've been phase 2 for
We're in
2.
phase 1.
Phase 2. We've been in phase 2 now for like 2. The whole idea behind it is that the difference between, am I like pausing that bad?
Yes, very badly.
Yeah, you got to pay, dude, you got to pay your internet bill before these meetings. We can't have this glitchy.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Maybe
we need to
your
upgrade.
phone. Use your phone. Call us back. Put one of us as a host.
You're the host.
You can't
Yeah.
log-
Well, go on with that topic and I'll click back in.
No, wait, hold on. Don't cancel out though. You got to make one of us a host first.
Calm down. I'm in management for a reason. Calm down.
Whoa.
No.
What else can we talk about while he gets his phone?
We can
to-
talk about Chris.
I think
Okay,
it's
let's do it.
I think it's a good point that Chris is saying about if you've got a state that's closed down and a state that's not closed down. I mean, the first 5 things I thought about when I heard Newsom shut down California was, well, that's really going to help the gaming industry in Vegas. That's going to bring people to Vegas, and so when that brings people to Vegas, it probably causes the same problem they're having there. And so the question is, will Sisolak shut down the state again and put us back into phase 1? Of course, the hope is no. We definitely don't want that to happen. But I think it's definitely something you have to be thinking about. To be clear, we are in phase 2. Don't think that we're not in phase 2. We are in phase 2. All the things that you could normally do in phase 2 are still allowed.
With the exception of the bars.
Oh yeah, forget about bars because I don't.
Yeah.
Um,
You don't go there.
I don't go there. Yeah, going to the bar and licking people is just weird to me, so I just don't do that.
So for any of you who missed that, it's a reference to a comment I made on Todd's Facebook comment about bars. But yeah, bars are the one thing that you can't go to.
Well, they're closed, right? Like you
Right.
can't even get in. So
Well, if you go to a restaurant that has a bar, they can't have the bar open, right? You can go into the restaurant. And I think I'm really dying to hear Chris's analogy. I don't think he got that far. You there?
Well, the difference between Todd and myself, Todd had his own first reaction when California tightened up everything yesterday. And my reaction is, oh, we're next. Give it
Yeah.
2, maybe 3 days. That was
Yeah.
my initial reaction.
Well, and so I think there was a little bit of hesitation to shut down the state. And here's the thing, right? I mean, the reason we shut down is not because there's because of politics. It's because there's not enough beds in the hospital to manage the people that are sick. So ultimately, the shutdown is to help those who are sick get seen right away and get back home. And I think that people forget that sometimes. It's not about politics. But Chris, now that you're back, can you tell us your analogy about California and Nevada?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hot damn. All right. So I don't know what you said while I was gone, but I'm sure it was good stuff, but I'm back here. So yeah, my whole thing was that, with everything going on in the state, I'm sure some phasing of the shutdown will happen again. And I want to remind everybody that even during the phasing structure, when we went into phase one, Sisolak was pretty vocal about the fact that he would be adjusting phases as test results came in. And of course, as you add in hundreds of thousands of test results, more cases are going to be found. I mean, that's just simple math.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the understanding that we should talk about is what's going to be different if we were to go back to phase 0 or phase 1 based on what we already know to be true. And I've come up with a couple of questions for this illustrious panel to answer. So number one, if you were to have to go back into phase 0 and you were quarantined back in your home with your kids, your family, while maintaining that real estate is still an essential business, what would be different this time around than it was before? And I'll throw that out to any one of you to throw it out there. What would be different?
My whole house.
The first thing for me is that I would probably have to smother my husband in his sleep. After
Oh,
that,
poor
could
Jerry.
be.
Janet,
I take that
Janet,
second.
You can't say that in public. You
Janet,
can't.
you need a lower interest rate. You need to
That's
talk to
right.
them. You need a lower interest rate.
It'll save
After
marriages.
Save your
45 minutes,
marriage.
I would smother in his sleep. And then I think it would be pretty much the way it was, living your life on Zoom calls all day and agents out there having to do everything virtually. We have agents who during the shutdown had the best 2 months of their real estate career. And you know why? Because they were working. And all those people locked in their house doing nothing made nothing. And those that worked reaped the rewards, let me tell you.
Mhm.
I'm signing the commission orders.
So Chris, let me say that I think one thing that would be substantially different is that as real estate agents, we've never been locked down in our houses before like that. And so there were many agents that really didn't know how to react.
Sure.
And there were a lot of agents that started to react and do things that they weren't comfortable with. I think if it happens again, I think agents should see that you can still be successful in your business being locked down in your home, and that there are certain things that you should be doing on a day-to-day basis. And for me, I mean, I always kind of go back to the same thing, and that is you got to get into your CRM and you've got to start communicating with people at a high level about the pandemic and how are they. It's not about real estate. It's about their well-being and how are they and what are they doing and do they need anything. And I think that every single agent in our company and every single agent in this town could absolutely be successful throughout the rest of the year, even if we go back to 0, by just getting into their CRM and communicating with people about their well-being. And let me just say this, if you don't have a CRM and you're like, well, I don't have one and I guess I can't do anything, this is your opportunity. You have plenty of time. You could dedicate 2 to 3 hours every single day to figuring out which one you want to use and then making it work and learning how to use it. So I think that for me, that would be the thing.
So you bring up a major topic, and I think the whole idea behind the question is perspective. When we initially went into the phasing before, we had no idea what was going to happen, right? People were calling us up saying, I don't know if people are going to be able to buy. I don't know if they're going to be able to sell. I don't know if my business can go on. And we all know, having gone through it to phase 2, business still continued. People still were able to buy and sell homes. People were still able to list their homes. Not only could they list their homes, but they were able to get them closed and move into the other property. So I think the one takeaway that should happen is the fear of business not being able to happen should be gone. As long as real estate stays essential, knock on whatever wood you have around you, business will continue and you guys will be able to transact that business. And because so many agents are scared, because so many people were unprepared, there's a better threshold to do business because you have less competition. So the one message I think we need to get out to agents in our company is that as long as you're proactive, you still will be able to have a high level of business and be able to close those deals, but you have to be aggressive in your prospecting, you have to be aggressive in your activities. I think the other thing that would be interesting is, how will it affect our offices? And I've had some conversations with Brandon, and if we were to go back to phase 0, nothing would be the same as it was, right? We would maintain the offices, the things that are going on, they're already prepared for social distancing. We already have a cleaning routine in place. So all of the things that we had a fear of as a company of making sure that you were safe in a work environment have already been taken care of. And not only have they been taken care of, but you've embraced them as a company, you've understood them. And I mean, every time I walk out to get coffee, everyone's wearing masks. And every time that someone walks into this office without having to be prepped, they have a mask on, and they're doing it for the safety of themselves and others. So that entire issue that we had, that mindset perspective, is gone. It's just been received as normal and normal business practice. So good on everybody for doing that, and good on the leadership team for doing it. And I just want to point out, Patricia Delaney put in the comments that traffic would be lighter, and that's absolutely correct. There was nothing like getting on the 215 and having only be 3 cars there as you were driving to work, but we've all seen that change pretty quickly.
So Chris, let me ask. So if we do go backwards in the phasing, the plan for Signature Real Estate Group is to keep the offices open as they are, continue to service our agents and their clients as they need to come in. I had a question yesterday of what, could the public come in kind of thing. And I like to say here that, yeah, absolutely, the public is allowed to come in the office. They need to be accompanied by you as an agent, and they need to be wearing a mask. And they can come in and we can continue to do your business here. So we are still open. Nothing's changed. We're keeping the place clean. We require masks. And I think business could go on as semi-normal.
I think the whole point to your question, Todd, is if we go back to phase 0, then the question of could the public come in? Probably not in phase 0, because it said all businesses would be closed to the public. But could you come in and work in your business? Absolutely. Could you meet a client at a house? Absolutely. You could do that in phase 0 through the entire pandemic. But when it came to phase 1, that's when office doors opened up by appointment. Technically, that's kind of been the phasing is, no, it has to happen on a planned schedule. Everyone has now accepted that. I mean, so it's not even something that we think about. But we have a protected environment in the office. So yeah, I don't think there'd be any reason for us to do it differently than we have open right now. We've accepted the trainings at social media wise and virtually. And so I think that the message is able to get there faster. So all those things are important. Still no open houses. So I know that everyone comes back to that. I agree with everyone who's made the point that how is it I can go sit at a bar and I can, sit next to somebody and have a conversation, but I can't hold an open house. Well, everyone complained enough, they've shut down the bars. See what happens when you do that? I mean, the whole point is that they're doing everything they can to make sure that people are not jeopardizing the situation. And I think that's what everyone needs to remember is it's based on the average person expected to do something. And every time that that's been put to the state government, they've shut that group down. And so I think that I've seen more innovation in our industry with creativity and how to hold a virtual open house. I mean, everyone right now has some idea of how it works. When we started the pandemic, no one knew. I mean, everyone was like, oh, forget that, I'll never do another open house again, I'll sell my signs. But now everyone has an understanding of how that works. And V has about 40 signs for sale, so talk to her about that. I want to talk about the tenant issues, because that's the other thing I get. Hey, I've got a tenant in my property and they don't have to move out. Can I call them? Can I show the home? No. Everything that's still protecting the tenant, including the moratorium, is still in effect. Now, the moratorium is set to expire in September 1st, meaning that would lift. And Vanna was part of a great PAG that I put together for that. But I think here's the whole point. If we go back to phase 0, and there's no movement in the phases, expect an extension of the moratorium. And so, I mean, the governor has the ability to do that at any point. But from what we understand so far, it only has affected 9% of the market. 9% of the market has been affected by the inability of a tenant to pay their rent in some effect since the beginning. meaning that only 9% are that far behind. And most of those people, from the understanding of the information I've gotten, are in some type of arrangement or communication, meaning that probably half of that group is the real problem. So 4% of the marketplace of tenant occupied properties. And so I don't think it's as massive as everyone lets it out to be, but of course it's transactions that we're dealing with. Every broker on this call is here to help you figure out some possible solutions to deal with tenant occupied properties. What have you guys been seeing with that? You've been getting a lot of questions on it?
Yeah, so the question I always get is, can we go take pictures of a tenant occupied property?
No.
No,
Tenant can
you're not
take
allowed
pictures.
to disturb them. Yeah.
No.
You're not allowed to disturb them. You can have the tenant take pictures. In fact, you can have the tenant walk somebody through a property using their phone virtually, or their computers or whatever, but you cannot physically get in. The other question I get a lot is, did that answer your question before I move on?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other question that I get a lot is what if we're in contract, sight unseen, and now we have a contract where somebody has to come do an inspection. Similarly, before, when we were in, now that if we go back to phase 0, the answer is you can't disturb that tenant, right? I think there was a portion, depending on what municipality, and we talked about this during one of our previous broker potpourris, was that if the tenant allows you and gives it to you in writing to come into the property once you're in contract, then that's an opportunity but they could change their mind at any moment. And so that's the scary part when you go into contract, that I think people should be aware of. Yes.
So let's make that point, because this is something that did happen in the middle of this pandemic. The Attorney General, who has the prosecuting factor of this,
Right.
made a ruling that a showing and an appointment, an inspection, are two different things. Showing from the aspect of it's open to people to schedule to come in and walk through my home. There could be multiple of them. It could happen on a daily basis, is what he considered a showing. An appointment for an inspection was then ruled that that's specific. It's going to happen once. There's going to be one home inspection, one appraisal, one walkthrough. These are things that are done in that process. But they've always said, just like you pointed out, it must be by appointment. It must be scheduled and planned by the tenant. It must be, safety precautions still taken, but they have said that piece is okay. I do believe, even if we go back to phase 0, that now that they've said that, as long as it's done the same way, I think that the Attorney General will honor that. But the showings at any time could go away completely. So that's why we need to be very, specific and catered and caring about what happens. I got a good one for you, V. This is what I got yesterday. The tenant's going out of town. Can I show it? And the whole point is, it's still tenant occupied.
It's still tenant occupied. You still have to give them notice. They would still have access to your home, touching things and whatnot, and it just depends.
Well, here's
And then hold on. Before you go, Janet, me first.
Go ahead.
Are you allowed to give notices to tenants? I get that a lot. Like, are you allowed to give a notice via email versus post a notice on their door? And it's funny because I went through this with the PM PAG, and I went and talked and spoke with the eviction court judges and whatnot. And I get, yes, you can actually send a notice via email saying you are now on notice that the landlord has provided you their 30-day notice to vacate. Now, can you force that tenant out? The answer is no, not during this time, not until August 1st. You can't send them official notice or post it. And then starting September 1st is when they get to move out, essentially. So
what you're saying, though, is I can follow the traditional terms of the lease agreement, which, my lease is getting ready to end July 31st. I, as the owner, should have given my notice and said, listen, I do not intend to renew this lease by any means. Here's the notice based on our agreement. But when it came to August 1st, if the tenant refused to leave, I can't kick them out. I can't call the constable and say, come over and do an eviction.
Correct.
None of that is open or agreeable, but I could still follow the terms of the agreement I had in place.
So the hope is, by sending the notice, is that the tenant will in fact move out, so you can prep that home and get it ready for sale or rent again and whatnot. But here's the other thing, is that if you have provided notice and we get to, and let's say notice should have been, July 1st was move out date, and they hadn't moved out, well, now you have to start the process again come August 1st, because that's when the moratorium will be lifted. Janet, you
Janet.
had a question.
Here's the question I get. So they say, can I show this tenant occupied home? No, is the answer. And the next question is, what if my client really, really likes it? Can we write an offer contingent upon viewing?
Yeah, you can. But guess what? If it's a viewing, they're not allowed in. If it's an inspection and the tenant allows it, then they can go in.
Subject to inspection. I mean, yeah.
So you just change it contingent upon inspection of the interior. I don't know, something
A
weird.
home inspection, you know, buyers could always attend the home inspection, right? And so technically I can make any inspection I want. It's just that it's subject to that inspection. We did that during the foreclosure and short sale crisis because sellers didn't want to be bothered, right? Todd, you remember that. All the time sellers would say, I don't want to be bothered. Find a buyer for my house. I don't care. I'm not getting anything from it. I don't want to know about it. And we would write the offer subject to inspection at a later date once it got accepted. And that became a standard of practice. And so I think it's the same idea. But here's the other thing. The whole reason that we addendum would go is for unknowns that would happen. If that addendum isn't there and you write a contract and you have this tenant issue and you knowingly open escrow on an FHA buyer to your listing that's got to occupy within 60 days of closing, and you have no plan to get the tenant out and you put no verbiage in the contract to protect the seller, that's a problem. And that's what that COVID addendum does. It says based on these, force majeure clauses or issues that we would have, understand that there could be extensions, understand that we could run into issues, but we're going to try. And I think that I've seen a lot of contracts lately, not necessarily from our agents, but from other parties that just said, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
And that's not right. It's not right to spend a buyer's money on inspections and appraisals and their moving costs and them getting ready to find out that maybe 6 months before they can move into their home. And so I think you need to be proactive about it.
I got one too. Todd, do you have one?
No, ladies first. Of course.
So I got one. We have an agent who represents a landlord. And when I say represents, they're sort of doing the tenant placement listing, which by the way, will be a Broker Insight this Wednesday. So tomorrow, be on the lookout for that. So they're doing a tenant placement and they find out that the tenants that are in the home are growing weed. Now, home-based business. Now, remember when it comes to, so I did check with the attorney that with marijuana, you can grow it with a medical card. You can have 6 plants and it cannot be visible to the public. And if it is visible to the public, it's a violation, especially if they sign that, no drug addendum or whatever. You can still have them evicted. The courts are still evicting tenants who are putting the property in danger, putting other people in danger. There's still that possibility.
Well,
squatters can be evicted right now. So it's not a full moratorium on all evictions. If it is causing if it's causing a problem for the home, persons, individuals, the community, then you can still evict based on those items.
well,
And I would just call the police on that one, not the constable.
any illegal activity, right? If they're using the property
Correct.
illegally, they could be evicted for that. So
Correct.
here's my question, and it's in our chat over here, and I get this question a lot. Which one of the COVID addendums should we be using? Because
Ours is better.
Signature provided one. Shortly after that, the LVR provided one. Which one? Want to know which one should we be using?
Ours is better. It's more specific to our state. The one from the association was sort of a knockoff from the one from California. And so there's a couple of things that aren't necessarily applicable here. So ours is definitely better. You can find it in the agent resources page. If you're using something and the only one you can find is the one in Transaction Desk, by all means, use that, right? If you have an option, use ours.
So you use one of them. Right?
I also worked on the one that we did, so I like it better.
His question is, there are a couple of different types of documents. One is a questionnaire that says, have you been sick? Do you have a fever? Do you feel okay based on these terms? That was put in place so that when you have a seller or buyer that are hesitant because of the crisis to view property or see property, you had a document that was kind of a questionnaire that would ask them, do you feel sick? I mean, we're in the climate where we have to ask people that. And then the other one was a release that said, well, you understand that I go out and show you property, or if you allow your home to be shown, that you're releasing liability of me as the broker, me as the agent, the other agent, of any liability with me showing you property, because if you come in contact with somebody, you could get sick. So there were those documents. And then there was the COVID addendum that actually was an addendum for the purchase agreement that had to tell people that we're in a pandemic and understand that because of the issues that are going on, what we don't know could happen. And we need you to understand that this transaction could be canceled for reasons that are not part of the agreement. All three of those documents were released. And I want to say, thanks to good hard work by the state, that were provided to the locals, and the locals then ran them out through their transaction system. So if you think the state didn't do anything for you, look at those great documents. We got to move on to some other topics.
Can we do open houses?
Yes, go ahead. Why not? Have a bar at your open house. There you go.
No open
7
house.
or 8 people at a time.
3 people
No, please, no
got
open
up
houses.
to go get their open house signs and put them in the car.
Yeah,
No
no.
open houses.
So based on the questions that we just went through and everything we talked about, if I'm an agent that I'm, I've got to change my mindset to, I don't need to be fearful of the pandemic. I don't need to be fearful of the phasing. What should I be doing with my time? Todd, you already said you should be working your database. What else? What else should I be doing? And the one thing I hear from every agent I coach is, I don't have time to get that done yet. Well, if you're locked into your house and you have nothing but time and you didn't get it done the last go around, when are you ever going to get it done? So what should they be doing? Give me your opinion.
So Todd had said work your database, meaning your SOI, right? But it also includes working your farm. If you don't have one, identify one. Figure out if there is a farm that you want to be working with, and start sending them stuff, start emailing them. And believe it or not, like the advancement in the information that's available right now to agents, you can get email addresses, you can get their cell phone numbers, you name it, you can get within your community. You can even do active farms where somebody, has a baby or has a death in the family or has a marriage happening, whatever, any of those things that you can actually find out, when it's happening. The advancement is amazing in the systems that we have in place. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing is I think that you need to start going back and track your numbers. I think one of the things that agents forget to do is actually track their numbers. What are they doing? Are they meeting their goals? Have you even set business plan goals? If you haven't, any one of us can help you do that. We have a whole, a sheet of paper that we can write down what your business goals are, and then we can help you track it so that you know how far you are from hitting your goals, right? And if you aren't hitting your goals, how we can help you get there.
Yep. Todd, Janet?
Script practice.
Script practice. Oh, I forgot about that one. Yes, script practice.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
It's online, it's virtual, you don't have to go anywhere. Today we talked about how many phone calls or how many real estate based conversations you have to have in order to set 10 appointments. And from those 10 appointments, 5 of them will show up. And from those 5 that show up, you'll do 2 deals. And so if you're a math whiz, you can now figure out exactly how many phone calls or conversations you need to make in order to do the number of deals you want to do. So we talk about other things besides scripts, but script practice is a great place to go every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Go ahead, Janet.
Well, I want to add to what you just said. Now, in case you don't know, Todd has a very large productive team. Fortunately, most of them live around the area.
Janet, they might be on this call, and you shouldn't tell them that they're highly productive, because that's not the message I pass.
I'm just telling you, I'm here every day listening to them. So if you're shy, oh, I can't get on a phone call and be coached on the scripts, I'm not there yet, I'm going to tell you what to do. Most mornings, there are at least 3 team members from Todd's team who sit in our open area at Summerlin and make phone calls. One of them in particular has a very loud, carrying voice. So all you have to do is come sit in my open area. There's plenty of places to sit where you can maintain social distancing if you didn't want to wear your mask once you were in the office, and just listen and take notes, and you will be amazed at what you learn. So that's my tip for the day.
I think those, go ahead.
I will also say, pay attention to what's happening within, you know, your friends, your family. Remind people that you're here for them. I think we talked about it in one of our previous sales meetings or open or our virtual happy hours. Which, by the way, will come back if we go back to phase 0. I know Janet's looking forward to it. There's something to look forward to. But with the I think we talked about it then, was like reach out to somebody and see if you're going to the store and maybe somebody needs, you know, your help with something. You can reach out. That's also one way that you can keep track, because we are meant to be good stewards of our community, right? I mean, we know a ton of people in town because of what we do, so be accessible to them. The other thing that I found was to stay in touch with, you know, attorneys that you know in town, whether they're divorce attorneys or probate attorneys, because unfortunately both of those things are happening right now. So if you know somebody, keep in touch with them and, you know, let them know that you're here to help them service their clients.
And if you don't know any of those type of attorneys, you'll have time at home to call and get on a virtual call with them and help promote their business for them. And if you need help figuring out how that call goes, reach out to any one of us because we can help you. But you can start to develop that type of relationship with those types of people who can send you business, not just today and tomorrow, but for the rest of your career, they'll send you business as long as you're doing a good job.
And so the whole point is you have time, right? You have time now because of everything that's going on to be able to break down your business, make it exactly what you wanted, to build it back up, because if we are quarantined again, you'll have time on your hands to make that happen. And if we're not quarantined again, you still have more time now than you would at any other point because, you know, of everything that's going on and clients that can or can't get into the marketplace. I think that I would probably say, though, everyone has thought at this point about buying or selling a home or changing where they live. I mean, I know everyone on this call has thought about it at one point. So whenever you're going to be in a market like that, right? Let's talk about something else. So unfortunately, the side effect of so many more cases and things are people are getting sick and people are contracting the virus. And so here's the deal. What do I do if I get sick or I'm feeling sick? Well, number one, don't come to the office. For the sake of yourself, for the sake of the people around you, don't come to work. Work from home, work virtually. We're all available to you by phone, by Zoom. I had an agent yesterday say, hey, Chris, can you hop on a Zoom meeting with me real quick to look at some documents? Absolutely. We're all here to help you with that. If you're unsure if you're sick, but you just don't feel well, don't come in. We don't need you here to do your business. Do not go meet your clients. Figure out an agent here at the company. I know that we have 550 agents. Any one of them would love to help you out with your business if you're not up to snuff. So the whole idea is keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep the agents and staff here at Signature safe. But if you're not feeling well, if there's any question, do not come in to the office. Give yourself the time to get tested, give yourself the time to recover, and that should just be the rule of thumb. If you have allergies and your eyes are a little bloodshot because of it or you're coughing, that's fine. You don't have to go around telling me you have allergies. I get it. You know, the interesting thing is people have not been calling in sick for work across the country. No one wants anyone to know that they're not feeling well. People are dealing with all types. Matt, have you heard of anyone lately having a common cold? Anyone on this?
No.
Right? No, I mean, it's unbelievable. Doesn't matter what they could have had, everyone's fine. Because I think it's all of a mental thing too. No one wants to say that they're sick with anything. But again, please don't come in. Let's talk about our company Facebook page.
Real quick, Chris, if you or somebody in your immediate family you think is coming down with COVID or you've been tested and you're positive for COVID, let your broker know, just so that we have a sense of the agents in our custody or in our company that, you know, might need some help. I mean, if you're sick and you're quarantined at home, you know, I had an agent call yesterday, Janet from your office, and asked if I could help him find someone to do a final walkthrough because he was sick and he hadn't been tested, but he had the symptoms. And so please let us know if you're in that situation for two reasons. One, we can help protect the other agents at the office. We can make sure that if you have been in the office, we are tracking agents when they're in the office, and we can then reach out to the people that might have come in contact with you that day. And we can also help you with your business if there's things that you need to get done. So let your broker know.
So for sure, let's talk about our company Facebook page. So I don't know what that was. What is it for? What should be the best use of it? How should I use it to engage my business or my fellow agents? The one thing, and I want to ask the opinion of the group, but the one thing I've noticed, it's a great place to go to get referrals of great companies to work with, like pool cleaners, contractors, roofers. I mean, Vandana, you must have 3 people for every job that could ever be needed. But it's a great resource for that.
Yeah, I do. I think one of the things to remember is that although, and we've again talked about this before too, we don't want that Facebook group to be a place where you bash other companies, other agents, or other business practices, right? Regardless of the type of model that they work with. I think that's one thing that you have to remember, is that we don't want that to be the thing. It is an opportunity to showcase your listings, to allow, and I know people showcase their listings and want them to be advertised. So if you are asking for other people to advertise your listing, just put it in there that you want it to be advertised, and you're providing permission by posting it there. I think that's helpful versus having everybody ask, can I advertise? Can I advertise? Now, if you don't want to blanket give everybody permission, that's fine too. I've seen, even with like for mine and some of even Chris Patrick's listings, like we always ask that you put courtesy listing provided courtesy of the Patrick Group or the Bala Group or whatever, right? So we ask that you do that when you advertise our listings, even though we've posted in there. So it's a great opportunity for you to start some marketing, especially if you are at home and quarantining or staying socially distancing, whatever. It's an opportunity again to showcase listings that you don't have, and it's not a problem. You can try to get some buyers that way. But that's a good place to do that. We are not doing open houses anymore, so no open house advertising. I know we tried to do sort of like a company virtual open house, and so that's where you'll see, even on that page, where we have all of our events, our calendars. I think it's a great page. Collaboration's amazing on there.
I think one of the other things that make sure that you're using it for good, not evil. And so, like you said, don't use it as a complaining station. I don't know. I don't want to tune in and just hear constant complaints about things. I mean, I'm always there to help with solutions. I know the other managers are. Don't take for granted that a manager automatically sees the Facebook page either. So one of the things I've seen is where you tag manager in it. Usually that will pop up into our feed right away because of it. That's a faster way to get a broker to respond to it, because we'll see it faster. Here's something. I was on a national panel for NAR about safety, and one of the best resources that many companies have had throughout the nation are internal company pages where they point out safety issues or things that they hear of or see. If you get a crazy cold call from somebody that is aggressive or insulting, or you just don't feel right about it, it's probably likely that that person is calling a list of agents within the company. So feel free to use the Facebook page to report things of that nature that you are concerned about, because it may help another agent who got the same call or something like that. If you're out holding, can't say holding an open house, if you're out cold calling and you come across a crazy seller that is just threatening everybody, use that piece for doing that, because we have so many people that are cold calling and out in the marketplace. And if you're going out to show homes and you don't know the person or things like that, if you need to use the Facebook page to tell the entire company, hey, listen, I'm running out to this property, here's the address, I'm showing the client I don't really know, if someone lives by that property, could I use you as a resource to call if I have an emergency? I could see all of these things being a good way to use that page for you and your safety. Not to mention the referrals. Does anyone else want to add anything else to use it for?
Well, I see a number of agents who are using it. They're taking pictures and they're saying, just want to give you a preview of my listing. It'll be on the market. It'll be in the MLS on Thursday. They don't have an office exclusive form signed. And if that really violates the NAR clear cooperation policy.
I'm gonna back up for a second, because yes and no, right? If it's on our internal page, it's not public marketing. It's considered a broker marketing, and it's not. So yes, you have to put it. The MLS rules say you have to put it in the MLS within 24 hours. Public marketing is not our agents of signature page. It is Facebook to the world, essentially.
Well, but they haven't taken the listing as an office exclusive for
Correct.
4 days or whatever.
And right,
Sure.
and you have 2 days to turn that form in. And I actually had an agent that wanted to do an office exclusive, but didn't get that signed off on their original listing agreement. So I helped walk her through, like, yes, you need to do a change order form, so and so. This is not the topic for that. We can talk about that next potpourri.
A whole nother meeting.
A whole nother meeting.
Here's one of the things that I think is really unique right now, and I think that most people are missing the boat on it. And I think that, just like all of the agents love the interaction of Facebook to be able to see the photos and video and information, I think one of the things you can also do at home right now is video text. Right now is a great time to quickly record a video. Hey, it's Chris with Signature. I was thinking of you guys today. Just wanted to see how you and your family are doing. As you can see, I'm here in my office again. I'm still working, even though I can't go outside the door. If you have any real estate needs, any family needs, anything at all, let me know. I would love to talk with you. If I personalize that to John or Mary or whoever's in my database, and I just click send on that text, that is so impactful to them, and it shows that you really have gone out of your way to care. So don't forget that that's a resource. And if you have a Facebook page that you use for your business, video is everything. A video goes to the top of most searches. So if you're making videos of the things that you're doing, make sure that they're tactful, they're placed correctly, and you're following proper protocols. But those videos, you have plenty of time to do it, and they will make a huge difference in your business. Anything else on Facebook and video?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it. So one of the other things that's kind of been a side effect is, when we had the initial pandemic and we went to phase 0, a lot of people moved out of their offices and moved home, and some maintained their offices and came to work. And so what's amazing is as soon as phase 0 went to phase 1, we had a rush of people moving back into the offices. And so in Summerlin right now, Janet, I don't think we have one private office space. We have one, and it's going quickly. It'll probably go by the end of this meeting. We have about 4 in the Southwest, and we have 4 or 5 in Green Valley, Todd? 5. So if you're on this call and you thought, I need to structure my business better, I need to have a better focal point, I need to start the day early, end the day late, and I want to do it from the office so that I have a good workspace, we have offices available right now. And any of the managers, any of us on here would love to tour you in those offices with our face masks on and everything else, to show you what they look like and help you get a workspace. Vaughn and Todd, Janet, you guys have worked from an office forever. Why do you do it versus, well, you don't really have a choice, but why do you do it versus working from home?
Well, I have a choice.
You have a choice. You have like 2 offices, so you could pick one from the day.
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
I do it because I can get work done for the most part. It allows me to have a safe space for work, and it provides me the work environment, allows me to collaborate with other agents that are in the office. If I need to ask questions, I think that's the most important part. I get to gossip with Janet or you, depending on which office I'm in, or Todd. So I love it. I think it's a great place to be, primarily because of the collaboration.
Yeah, I think that, Janet?
I agree with Vonda. I have to have that synergism around me to get anything done. And there's always somebody available somewhere that you say, I'm not real sure about this. Could you help me with this? But for me, the main thing is discipline. I'm not a disciplined person. So if I were at home, I'd still be in my bathrobe. The TV would be on, and I'd go, oh, doesn't this sound interesting? I think I'll sit down for just a minute. And I would be dressed before 11 o'clock. But I learned early on in my career, get up, get dressed, and show up. And I was always in the office by about 8:30, 8:45, depending on what grade my kids were in at the time. Now, that's not to say at 1 o'clock, I wouldn't say I've done everything I can possibly do today. I've talked to everybody I need to talk to. I'm going home early. But the big thing is it makes you get up, get dressed, and show up.
Todd?
For me, I'm always just kind of been a go to work person. I've always worked out of an office, and so I've done a good job of separating being at home and being with my family time and my work time, and so I don't have to mix those two together. So being in the office for me is just more productive, like everybody else has said it. One thing that I did notice early on in my career was when I was in the office, and I was always a get there kind of early person, all of those weird leads that like walk through the front door or call in at a weird time. I mean, I was always the guy sitting in the office when there were no other people there. And so I've actually done transactions because I was actually in the office that were just things that fell into my lap kind of thing. So especially on holiday weekends, that was always a good one to, there would always be someone that would call on a holiday weekend, and I've done several deals that way. So for me, it's I gotta go, this is a job and I have to go to work.
So I think that the whole thing I've seen is everyone can't, yeah, can I work from home now? I can. I've got a computer with a webcam on it. I'm able to interact with these meetings. I'm able to, do things with the entire team, and we've proven that that's possible. But am I as effective as I could be is the whole point. I keep going back to the commercial with the guy with the tuxedo t-shirt on, and he's got no pants on, and that's his work shirt because all you can see is the top half. But how prepared is he to leave the house? He's not at all. And I think the whole thing is, if I'm here prospecting for business and someone says, yes, I can meet you in 20 minutes, am I ready, mindset wise, business wise, to be able to go out and do that business? The answer is probably no if I'm sitting at home, not really prepared. And I think that, can you be effective from home? Yeah, there are people that do it all the time, but they're not as effective as they could be. I think that their mindset shift of, I'm here to work, I'm here to do business, versus dealing with my dog and my kids and everything else. And I know people that have great home offices, but it has home in the beginning of it. And I think that's the mindset difference, but that's the world we're in. So if you want an office, we have them for you, and would love to tour them around for you. What else do we have problems with? Janet, tell us something that we didn't touch on.
Well, I just want to say someone only has one office available, but we do have a couple, maybe three, I'd have to go back and count, cubicles. They're really nice cubicles, lots of counter space, drawers, high partitions, and we have a number of those for rent. And they're only $100 a month.
That's a great way to be able to put your workstation there and have a whole docking station set up. I have a docking station in my office with a big screen, and it connects and charges and does all that stuff. I mean, I couldn't live my life without it. What else didn't we talk about that we've been having issues?
Let me say this. I mean, even if you don't want to have an office, we've got great areas set up in every office for you to just come in and drop in and use. I mean, if you drop in at the Green Valley office, there's 4 or 5 chairs that have the best view in the valley. And you can sit there and prospect, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything. So if you think that you work better in an office or at the office, use that to kind of get started and see if that really will help your business. So every office has drop-in space available, and you should come in and use that to lead generate. That's what Janet's talking about with my team, is they actually do that out in the drop-in area rather than at our cubicle there. And that's a good way. It's a good place to do it. You can hear other people. You can see how other people do it. I think that's one of our biggest challenges in this business is we don't really know how to do it. And so we need someone to show us. And the best way to do it is just to watch somebody else kind of do it. It's called shadowing. And you can shadow in those areas.
So on that note, I would like to say that I mentioned in most of my classes that I like to put documents in the documents section. Oh, bye, Chris. We like to put documents in the document section. And I realize I don't actually know how to do it because I've been putting documents in there and they're not available to the other agents on the other side. So I would love to shadow someone on that. If you could teach me how to do that. And then showing time. I have no idea how to use showing time in a way that makes sense for the seller to be in charge of. Blah, blah. If anybody knows how to use those, please reach out to me. I'll put you on the calendar to teach the rest of the office because I think it's important, especially during this time, to know how to do those things. I clearly don't. I know it's shocking. I don't know something.
I'm glad I missed that part. My internet froze and the whole thing went down.
I know.
So did you guys already address the question that was in the comment section about showing properties with key codes?
Yeah, I put a comment in there saying it's a violation unless the listing agent and the seller allow it.
Of course, yeah. So of course, for our agents out showing property, you cannot just get a one-day code from the listing agent and send your client without you. That kind of defeats the purpose of having an agent showing them properties. So no, that's not allowable under any circumstances. The other thing is there are some companies that will not allow key codes at all as a company policy. And so if you run into that, I've had a couple of people ask me that question, is that really true that they won't allow them? Yeah, it's possible. Regardless of what the seller says, there are companies that say, as a company policy, we will not enter agreements with our sellers, well, they'll give out key codes. So just so everyone knows it. Janet?
I just want to say this has become such an issue that the board was going to take away one-day codes at all for our MLS.
Which would be such a disservice to our clients. I hope they don't do that.
No, well, it's been voted. The only thing that saved it is the fact that there are so many property managers that use one-day codes. If we didn't have the property management business that we have, they would take away one-day codes.
And I'll tell you that I was upset about one-day codes because I just had paid my key fee, which everyone has just paid it. This is last year. And I had an agent call me up and say, hey, I'd like to show your listing. And I said, great, go show it. It's vacant on Lockbox. No, I'd like you to give me a one-day code. And I said, well, why do you need a one-day code? You can go show the home yourself. And they said, oh, I don't have a key. I'm not willing to pay for that. And I'm like, what? You want me to use my key to show my listing and you don't want to pay for it, so you want to piggyback off of me? I was pissed. And so I called the board and said, you know, you guys need to look at this. And so, yeah, you can blame me all you want. I don't care. No open houses either. So is there anything else that we should address that, that you've been getting questions on as brokers? We've got about 4 minutes left. Things that you've been hearing, anything at all that should be out for the good of the order?
I don't think so. I know Las Vegas Realtor, sorry. The board of directors applications are due today. Sorry, Todd.
And then I want to piggyback on board of applications are due for the LVR board of directors today, final day, but the middle of August is also the deadline. The applications are now available for the MLS board of directors. So if MLS floats your boat, please submit an application because Signature hasn't had anybody on there. The MLS board in years. We need to get with it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Todd's point was we're open. We're here for you. Vandana's point was, I don't remember, what was your point? What did you say?
Don't screw shit up.
That's it. And Janet, you said basically with the board elections that today is the last day to apply with your application. And Patricia Delaney just put in the comments, I've texted agents for one-day codes when my Bluetooth doesn't work. That's absolutely allowable. They'll ask you for your MLS ID and probably a good practice is, and they'll give you that to allow you access to the property, but they can log you and who it was. I mean, that's probably the right way to do it. And when do they have script calls in the Southwest office, Janet, is the last question.
Oh, you mean the Summerlin office?
That's your office, Chris.
Oh, when do they have, oh, in the Southwest?
They're here every morning. They start about 9:15 and they go.
In Summerlin.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have Zoom script practice for every office that we're doing, and it's where everyone
I thought you meant live.
is coming to participate. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 9 o'clock, there's a link. Tyson can send anyone out there the link. Todd can send it to anybody. I can send it to anybody.
I can send it to anybody.
You can send it to anybody. So
and they're in the Facebook page. There's an event set up for each one of those that has the link. As of this morning, that link had expired, but in the next hour that will be fixed. So you can go to the Facebook page, go to events, and you can go to that event and click on the link there.
And if you want a script practice and role play partner, I have people in the offices that would love to script practice and role play for 15 minutes. So you can always partner up with somebody by Zoom. We're trying not to do right in front of each other, social distancing guidelines in the office, but they have it. I know in Janet's office in Summerlin, they're spaced about 7 to 8 feet apart, and they're having a good time doing it. Whatever works, just let us know and we'll make it happen for you. With that, guys, that was our sales meeting. I hope you enjoyed our potpourri of information. We have these set up because we've gotten such great reviews on the info for every other week, just so that the brokers and the leaders of the company can share some information. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you need us, we're here for you. Just reach out and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.